There we go.
Are we here?
Yeah, we're here.
Okay. Welcome everyone to a exciting and thrilling new episode of the newly named Rewind Reviews, the show where we break down songs from our childhood and determine whether or not they hold up after several years of music schooling. I'm Steve, and I'm here with Sam as always. And it's time to go over the quintessential oldie but goodie,
Yeah,
or one of them at least. Sam picked this one. Sam, you want to do some introduction
I would love
to
to.
this one?
I'd love to this one. So back before your days of your K-pops and your K bands and your Korean boy bands and your power groups, back in the ye old days of the late 1990s to early 2000s. We had boy bands and the occasional girl band where it was just a bunch of young people up there singing various things. And oh no, I'm just realizing other stuff is wrong. Okay, cool. Perfect. I'm gonna fix that really quickly while I'm talking. So the thing about all that is, there was a period of time in my life where I, all right, well, sorry, I got distracted because I wanted to get into that part. But there were boy bands, there were girl bands. There was two. There was the great feud of the boy bands, as it were. There was NSYNC, there was Backstreet Boys. There were fringe groups, but you either one or the other. It's kind of just the way it was back then. So back when I was, I don't know, younger. I don't know. Time is a concept. There was a summer I spent with one of my cousins out in Ohio, and it happened to be the summer that these types of bands were popular. This was the year of like NSYNC, Backstreet Boys, Britney Spears, etc., etc. And the closest cousin to my age was a female, was a girl, and she was an NSYNC fan. And every morning, here's a throwback for all the old ones of us. Every morning, she'd wake up, make sure she did all her stuff because it was summer, and then she would go sit down and get ready for Top Request Live.
Oh wow!
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
the old MTV show.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Total Request or Total Request Live or whatever it
I
was.
think it was Total
I think
Request
it was Total
Live.
Request Live. Um, but yeah, and the and so every day she would, we would sit there and talk about it, and she would get excited, and it would be okay. Where is my favorite band NSYNC fall today with their newest hit, and this was their newest hit. So quite literally for several several weeks, I was subjected to all of the popular music on MTV, and most particularly this song, because it also played a lot when we weren't watching that.
This was in 2005.
This,
This song. This
yeah,
was a single.
I'm
So
gonna double check that now.
I just looked it up.
You got it. All right, let me send it over to the there. Yeah, 2000. Yeah, their second single from their second CD album, "No Strings Attached," in exactly 2000. Uh, in exactly 2000. It
Oh wait,
debuted.
why does it say 2005?
That's weird.
That's fine. 2000. So 2000. I was like summer of 2000. I turned 10.
Summer of
So
yeah, I was probably summer of
so
2000. I was graduating fifth
you
grade, so
were
probably
you're like
11.
11.
Yeah, probably
Yeah,
11, which sounds right.
yeah. Because you're 2 years older than me,
Yeah,
but
it's
like
really
in
like
December.
one. Yeah, it's really like
There's
one.
a
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, and all right, yeah, and it was apparently the it was apparently one of their biggest hits. So, also having played the song several times for our work, uh, it's just been kind of one of those songs that has come back again and again, and I've listened to it and I've learned it and I kind of understand it. And it is, I thought about it and felt we've done enough songs that we like. Let's talk about the
Mhm.
songs that the world liked at an era,
Okay.
because this was a popular thing. Like, it's funny because we're talking about how like history repeats sometimes. Like, we're kind of seeing that again in the like in just the world scope, because we see like J-pop and K-pop picking up, and those are a lot of like boy bands and girl bands and like those kind of pop bands coming back to life. So I figured it was worth a retrospect to see, uh, did A-pop bands do an okay job, or are we just
Mhm.
looking back now and being like, what even was this time of our lives?
Yeah. So I don't have a ton of like I listen to this stuff a lot. Obviously, like I had a
Yeah,
sister who was 4 years younger than me, so she was really into it. I was into it for a while as well. Um, like honestly, like every time I interact with like an NSYNC or a Backstreet Boys song, it just like is better than I think it's going to be.
mm,
Um, like a lot of these have like a very kind of specific like production and groove to them, but like and you can tell that they're very much just like catered to like appeal to as many people as possible, but that makes them generally like a fun kind of appealing song.
yeah. I mean, it was like they kind of mentioned it in Wikipedia. It's a song about, what is the song exactly about here? Uh,
I have written down in my little notepad. So like I
yeah,
pull up a notepad and I listen to the song a few times and I save that until they're recording.
sure.
And I have on my notepad that the song has big "I'm not like other guys" energy.
It really does have that. The lyrics are about a man attempting to persuade a woman to start a new relationship together as she recovers from her previous breakup, which is
Yeah,
literally the most 90s thing I can think of.
right. Um, but yeah, I mean, like from a production standpoint, though, it like the word crispy comes to mind in a
Yeah.
lot of ways, both in the production of the song and the music video. Just like it's first of all, it
It's it
uh go
yeah,
ahead.
it like goes exactly, it's like it crisp. It feels exactly where everything is like should be, where it wants to be, and everything hits exactly right also. Like, it just feels
Yeah,
like well assembled. It feels like a perfectly put together Lego looks like.
yeah, we've got a fun little beatboxing intro.
Yeah.
Um, the like rhythm section in these songs is always real tight. um, which like makes sense because they're dance jams,
Yeah.
and like, but even the like video quality and like the like all of the stuff in like the music video, like you watch these guys like dancing and doing their moves and stuff,
Yeah.
and like you can tell like this is where it's like, oh, not exactly like where it all began, but it's like one of the early
Oh yeah.
iterations of
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 their
this
stuff.
style.
Yeah. Considering it's their, what did they say it was? It was their third single. Like this, yeah, but by like your third single, you kind of got your sound together and everything makes sense there, and everything looks good. Yeah, I agree completely. Shout out to New Zealand, the UK and Sweden for putting it in their top 10 at the time for that also, because yeah, that was they felt so also. Yeah, and kind of like what you said, like the music itself is like just complex enough to be interesting, and musically
I Yeah,
like while you're
I'm
listening to it, it's pretty interesting. It's not just like a four chord song like it is, but there's some
uh,
variants and they change it up a bit.
yeah, I'm always surprised by like how complex like NSYNC songs
Mm.
specifically. I guess like Backstreet Boys songs
Backstreet
too,
Boys
like
get kind of wild too.
but like just how complex they are harmonically because you wouldn't
Mm.
expect it. Because they feel so accessible, but like it makes sense that they can have like a bit of depth to them because you've got like five dudes singing or whatever, right?
Yeah.
So you've got a lot of like interesting like harmonies and voice leading and stuff that you can do.
Mm.
Um, and like the production does
They like
like
support it and like back it really well, and they like create the stuff around it to fill in the gaps that they don't necessarily like hit with like the vocals and things like that, stuff like that.
yeah.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think the other thing that is like really fascinating with it is it's like of the group, because the group was what, five people, five guys, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 here. Yeah,
I think
five. I
so.
see five very wax statues of them. Um,
Yeah,
yeah.
I was trying actually to figure out in the music video if it was like stop motion when they're the action figures, or if it's like actually them kind of like
Uh,
moving and dancing. And I'm pretty sure it's like them with a CGI overlay.
I'm pretty sure it is.
The movement's a little too smooth for stop motion, I think. But
Yeah, it's probably CGI'd over, which is still very
mhm.
interesting to figure it out. There it is. There's the stuff on the background there. Uh, looks like, yeah, the music video used limited CGI as he wanted it to appear authentic. Life-size dominoes were used, which were shot falling across the floor.
Right. That's
So a
towards
little
the
bit of
end.
some, a little bit of both. Yeah, yeah. Green. They're placed against a green screen. Uh, they were
Yeah.
filmed at a hefty 12 frames per second on a base of 24 to ensure that they resembled dolls. Powerful.
Yeah, that makes sense. So that's where the like kind of framiness of that part
Hmm.
kind of comes.
Yeah, it speaks to, yeah, like the skill of the video being made itself was actually pretty impressive in that regard too, because that,
Mhm.
like, that's a lot of knowledge of not even just like how to use the music medium, but how to use the video medium too. And like not a lot of people were trying that kind of stuff. That, I mean, they had the budget to do so. That's kind of the other part of it, right?
Right.
Like,
I mean, I think like the like talent involved both in the band itself and everything around it is what
yeah.
like really contributes to like especially all of these like boy bands and stuff. Because when you think about it, um, like all of this, it's all like very like manufactured by
Oh
like
yeah.
the record labels and the producer and all of that kind of stuff. Like I'm not sure how much input like the five dudes in the band actually had with like making the songs and writing them and coming up with them and everything.
Yeah.
um but like it's all just like a fucking marketing, like the tactical like marketing of it is all just like very like there, you know.
Yeah.
The it's like with the boy band, like the group of five like was originally there to like have a dude that appealed to all
Every,
like
yeah.
whatever your taste, there was a guy for you there,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, we'll get to that question towards the end, but you're right. Like, yeah, well, even in that case, right? Like, even in my formative years listening to stuff, like the first voice singing first verse was Justin Timberlake. We know him, we love him. He's still wonderful for the most part. Um, I say for the most part because, yeah, uh, but like we heard that voice. JC had that second verse, which like was nice. It like, as someone who also had like a low range, it was nice to not, in a world of tenors, it was nice to hear like a baritone, even if it was like a high baritone in part of it.
Yeah.
Like the range that they put out and used was, like, musically was also really cool too.
Yeah, it's like the people writing these songs, be it the actual band members or like the producers or the songwriters and stuff, like they had a pretty wide range and a pretty like varied group of talent to work with, right? Like
Yeah.
because they
Oh yeah.
have so many different voice parts and different things that the different band members like did well and excelled at.
Yeah.
You know, like you got Justin Timberlake and four other dudes that can sing like almost as well as Justin
Yeah.
Timberlake. You can do some cool shit.
Oh yeah.
Like,
Exactly. Yeah. If you even have one Justin Timberlake and some decently placed guys, yeah, you're gonna have like a good hit. Fun fact for you, since I have them up actually by mistake here. The British boy band Five spelled the number five with an IVE passed on this song initially. So this could have come from somewhere else. This could have been a B-pop band in some ways if history had changed a little.
Yeah.
Uh, but you know, I still think that says a lot of it, because this is like it feels like a pretty targeted song. Like we were talking about, like the age we were at, like 10, 11, 12. Like this
Mhm.
kind of feels like, even if we didn't get it, it feels like it would have been something that, like, if you're starting your first relationships around this time, that would have been like, that would have stuck to you. If you were a little bit older, like my cousin was, it was probably way more
Yeah,
relevant to your life too.
it hits like, so like it's like very engineered, right? Because
Mm,
if you were like our age, you're young enough that like the contents of the lyrics don't really matter, but like the hook of the song is really catchy. There's like all sorts of like, it's like really groovy, it's like fun to move around and dance to, and like as a kid that's a thing that you like to do.
yeah,
And then like if you're like a bit older, like your cousin was, or whatever, it probably hits in the same way that a lot of like, Blink 182 and
yeah,
like My Chemical Romance stuff did for like us when we were like that age, because that's the age that we were when we were like
yeah.
hearing and kind of like following and comprehending lyrics and song meanings and stuff for
Hmm.
the first time.
I will say,
Um,
yeah, good.
no, good.
I will say, even coming back to the lyrics, and I haven't really thought about it, even though I've played it a couple times recently. It does, and you mentioned it a little earlier. It does have big, like, it kind of feels a little creepy in some ways, because a lot of it is very, like, it's meant to be come off as cocky in the way that's like,
Hmm.
you're gonna wind up with me, like, this is gonna, this is like, this is destiny kind of a deal. But at the same time, the more I'm like the more I looked at the words, I was like, no, this just sounds really creepy in a lot of ways, because it sounds really
Yeah.
like,
As we examine some of these like 90s
mm-hmm,
uh boy bandy jams and stuff, I think that's what we're going to find, like as far as like lyrics and the subject matter goes, because I think this kind of stuff is very much like a product of its time, and
yeah,
and a lot of the stuff that now, with the hindsight of several years, like we and society can say like, oh, like this shit was really creepy and like weird and not good,
yeah,
to like be advertising that young boys do and that sort of thing.
mm-hmm,
um like I think that's gonna happen a lot. Like I think
yeah.
we're gonna run
No, I
into that
agree.
a lot.
I think I agree with you, really.
And so like blanket statement of like a lot of the subject matter of these songs, uh like obviously it's not good, and like obviously some of these lyrics aren't going to age well, and some of these songs aren't going to age well. But there's more to a song than just like what
Yeah.
it's about, right?
Oh yeah.
Like we can talk about the productions of songs,
Yeah.
the kind of like cultural zeitgeist at the time,
Oh
how it
yeah.
has evolved, like whether or not it's still like, I think like the perfect example of it evolving in the cultural zeitgeist is how this song has just become a huge meme.
Oh yeah. 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 I think which is funny, because a little behind the scenes stuff. I initially sent this to Steve, and like just dropped it to be like, oh, here's the song, and he just kind of passed over it, because of the good old "it's gonna be May" meme, because it is actually a
Yeah,
week away.
I thought you like accidentally like meant to put it in the meme channel
No,
of our Discord or something, and you dropped it into my DMs.
no. I actually plan on talking about the song. It's just that also is a convenient thing, that it is in fact gonna be May next week, and
Yeah,
sometimes it just lines up. So let
yeah.
me let me pose to you something here, because we've talked about this for a couple weeks now, and you alluded it to again here. So like the manufacturing when it comes to this music, because I thought about this too, of like, this is like, when I think of like manufactured music, like music designed to be pop, to be catchy, to be like a number one hit. I think of something like this, or like a, for its time. So what
Hmm.
did this do right, that something like last week's song, like "I Stand Alone," which like was similar vibes, but didn't, like, doesn't necessarily, like, does but doesn't, like,
I
it's
mean,
kind of like, what do you think makes these manufactured songs? Like, what is a good manufactured song versus like a bad one then?
I mean, it's all about mass market appeal, right? Like,
Yeah.
it's just it's about the mass appeal. Like, this song has like something for everyone in it. If you are into it just for like a groovy like 90s jam, it's like that drummer and bass player got you, like
Yeah.
if you're looking for like cool vocal melodies and vocal harmony, like it's there. If you're looking for like a breakup song, it's there. If you're
Yeah.
looking for like a whatever, if you're looking to just watch five hot boys like
Yeah.
move their bodies in interesting ways, it's there. It's got everything. And then like you compare that to like something like Godsmack, it's like that appeals to the crowd that it's trying to appeal to for sure, but like they're definitely not trying to
All
uh
right.
they're not trying to like hit the same demographics.
Hold on, Steve. Are you telling me I Stand Alone is not the breakup hit of the millennium? Is that what you're insinuating here to me?
No, no, I'm not insinuating
Okay.
that. I mean, yes, in the fact that I'm not insinuating that is the case.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Also, Turning Red. Boris brings it
Yeah.
up in the chat.
Yeah.
I haven't seen that movie, but I have
I haven't
like
either.
the comments on the "It's Gonna Be Me" NSYNC video. Like all the top comments are like a whole new generation like
Hmm.
rediscovering this music because of that,
Yeah. Uh,
which is like cool.
oh yeah,
But
totally.
like and I think also like speaks to kind of like the timelessness of the market appeal of a song like
Hmm.
this, right? Of just like it almost doesn't matter when it was written, just like it is written to be so generically like
But yeah,
appealing to as many people as possible that like you bring it back what 20 plus years later, and
yeah,
like it like a whole new generation of kids are like discovering it
yeah,
and seeing
yeah.
that.
Something that's nostalgia and cycles approximately 20 years. So, like this makes sense. Again, like also kind of how I said earlier, like we're seeing the we're seeing it kind of return, except from like the music of other countries. Like we see K-pop bands picking up too, and it's kind of yeah. This I could see how this could like get found and be
Yeah.
like, oh yeah, these are great songs that come back. So
Mm-hmm.
I I mean, so let's start talking about this last the all important question. Um, does it hold up in in the scope? Do you think that this song holds up as being uh something that is still good even today?
I mean, like for what it's trying to do, sure. Like it's not like crazy or groundbreaking. It's not like I don't know what the song like the original like boy band song that like started the whole craze is, but I don't think it was this one.
No.
And
That's
like
a good question.
and like I think in terms of the fact that its mass appeal has kind of endured as long as it has and will probably continue to. I wouldn't be surprised if in 20 more years, if the Earth is still a thing, uh, someone uses the song in a movie and a whole new generation of kids discover this
That's
stuff.
I could see that. So if we're going to go back to the as far back of history as we can go, uh, we see, according to the very incredibly resourceful Wikipedia articles, we're looking at barbershop quartets as initial boy bands, which, like, yeah,
Sure.
sure, fine. Jackson 5 and the Osmonds,
Yep.
sure. And
Makes
then as we get closer to the era we're talking about, we have Menudo, New Edition, and New Kids on the Block are the three that are
yep.
heralded as like the bigger ones. Like, yeah, that
New
tracks.
new kids on the block tracks. Like that's the one that like even though I don't know their music that much, I remember
Yeah,
like I know the name, and
I
that's
know the name.
that's
Yeah,
that means that it's working, right?
yeah,
And like even still like this type of like group, this type of like boy bandy super group
yep,
like has been evolving even still, to the point where now it's like that's just what K-pop is, right?
Oh
Like
yeah.
that's what like BTS and GOT7 and all of the other like big K-poppy supergroups that like
Yeah.
are so meticulously engineered to
Hmm.
like be perfect in a
Yep.
lot of ways that are like kind of problematic, but like they just have this insane like mass market appeal, and
Yeah.
that's the thing, you know, like BTS fans, like I don't know if you remember when they were like trolling
Oh
like
yeah.
Trump rallies because they were just buying they were
Yeah.
reserving seats to like all of these like
Events and
Trump
stuff. Yeah.
rallies and then just like not showing up. That was
Yeah.
all like that's the kind of movement, like that was all kind of like done within the K-pop fandom, like
Hmm.
on its own. Sure, it like expanded
Expanded
out
out. Yeah.
into other things, but that's like where it started.
No.
It's just a strong, you know, uh tool, like
Yeah.
a strong like uh fandom
Yeah.
that garners a lot of like fanaticism for
All right.
whatever that is worth.
That makes sense, and it continues like back, even back in the day, that kind of stuff. It wasn't on that level because we didn't have the internet, we weren't have that, but there was that kind of, I would call it almost even like a rabid fandom towards
Yeah.
these kinds of
Oh,
groups, like that still
I guess
exactly
like
existed.
the other like OG boy band was the Beatles, right? Like
Yeah, that was a pretty,
they
yeah,
were like
arguably, yeah,
that was they were like uh I forget like which one of them it was in an interview, like was famously talking about how like it was hard for them to like play on stage because their fans were so loud they
yeah,
like couldn't hear anything going on, you know, like
yeah. I do, yeah. I remember hearing that also. Yeah, yeah. That would also be like a good takeaway from that. So let me, before we give our final things, Stev, NSYNC, Backstreet Boys, or other, where were you in the Great War?
oh, I was an NSYNC person.
Okay, perfect. Perfectly
What
aligned
about
as
you?
always. Absolutely was an NSYNC person. Backstreet
Yeah.
Boys' hit at the time was like, around this
Don't
time
get
was
me wrong, like Backstreet
their
Boys
songs
was
are good.
also fine.
Yeah, yeah.
Like I had a
Shut your.
I had a fondness for both groups.
Mm.
I had albums from both groups. I remember. Do you remember this? The live CD DVDs that Burger
Oh my
King
gosh,
put out
yes,
for Backstreet Boys.
yes. Okay, I do remember those.
I
Oh my
had
gosh.
those,
Oh
all
gosh.
three of them, because I think it was like one concert divided into like three
What?
different discs. Yeah, there was like
What?
a red, blue, and yellow version, like straight up.
Oh my god, that's insanity. That's perfect marketing. So you got like 15 minutes of a concert on one small DVD. That's
Yeah,
incredible.
and you had to like collect them all. I'm sure it worked great.
I I guarantee you there
like
was an increase in sales
like
there.
it was the perfect cross section of like boy band fans and Pokemon fans, and it was all over the place. But
I feel that. All right. Well, I mean, I
I
agree.
mean,
Cuz like
it's
who was the fringiest boy band that you can think of, since we're here and since we have them in it? Cuz like I can't think
uh
of many others outside of that. But I know there were some like oddballs that like tried to break into the scene and never did.
there were, oh man, I can't remember their name, but like there's one in particular that comes
There's
to
one that
mind.
came
Like
in like way late that I can't think of either.
who did? Oh my god, this is gonna be uh
The Naked Brothers band were very late to the party. Yeah,
yeah.
you're
Oh
not
my
wrong
god,
though.
they were. So I thought this was a name of a song, and it was the name of a song, but it was also the name of the band Dream Street.
Yeah, okay. I do remember them. I vaguely that's a Fever Dream Street. Yeah.
Yeah. Um, but as this was your song to bring in to discuss, you have to, as is tradition, be the first
Yeah.
to give it a rating. So where
So
do you think we're at?
I think here's where I stand. I think
Mhm.
in regards to the genre, it's probably how you kind of alluded to it. I don't think it's the like best. I think if we had to give a single boy band song to aliens to prove boy band music gets to stay, I don't think I would send this song.
I don't
I
think so either.
I think however, on a like mixtape of all the hits from boy bands, I think this probably makes the cut.
Yeah, I think this makes like most like nostalgia 90s and 2000s
Yeah.
playlists
I
pretty comfortable.
I would stand on the point that it probably holds up pretty well. This song in
Mhm.
particular holds up pretty well, and to a bigger scope, the album's not bad either. I remember I've listened to a couple of the tracks on it, and Bye 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 was their bigger hit, but like
Mhm.
this was like pretty good. I think it did some interesting. I think it did a lot of interesting stuff. I would say in the regards of like manufactured music and music that was designed to be catchy, like congratulations guys, you did it. You manufactured a holding up song that I think is still relevant to date.
Mhm. So that was a lot of talking, but what would you rate it?
I would rate it, man, this is always the toughest part.
I know.
I would rate it, I'd call it four sweaters out of five.
Okay.
Four plain turtleneck sweaters out of five.
That's a strong rating. I don't know if I'm gonna go quite that hard.
That's
I'm
fair.
gonna give I'm gonna give this song, I think, like a solid like 4 out of 7 BTS members. I think that's
Ooh,
how
yeah.
many BTS members there are. If there's a different amount, please don't at me.
I really don't care that much. Uh,
But
uh, yeah. I think it holds up. I think it's like I would say like it fringes it's like just over the line of holding up and being reasonable, I would think.
mhm,
And I think that
yeah,
that's exactly also the boy bands of the 90s as a general, like a good sentence for the boy bands of the 90s.
right. I agree.
All right.
But yeah, that's
Yeah.
that's this one, right?
Yeah, that's it. I mean, there's not much to say about this one because I mean, was a boy band song really not gonna slap? You had to try pretty hard to make a boy band song not slap, honestly.
I listened so I listened to like some old NSYNC songs while listening to this song, and there are some of them that do not slap.
There are some there are some of them that are really bad. That's fair.
Uh, but yeah, thanks for tuning in if you're watching live. Thanks for watching on the YouTube if you're watching on YouTube.
Remember
Don't
to do
forget to
the yeah, do those
do
like subscribe things. Come at Steve about the members of BTS now in the comments now if you'd like.
that's actually what I'm doing. I'm mentioning BTS to drive engagement numbers.
How unbelievably capitalistic of you. I approve greatly. Steve, any teasers for the upcoming for next week?
Um, I think I'm still on the I'm still kind of thinking about it. I don't have a good uh a good one in mind quite yet, but we'll probably stay on the heavier side of things.
Go bring it back to
At least
the metal end.
at least today.
That's
Um,
fair.
yeah, somewhere within the heavier genre.
You know what? I respect that take. Yeah. Thank you all again as always. And make sure to hang around and check out the other stuff too.
Mhm.